Hello, everybody. This is Tony from Freedom at the Crossroads, helping women everywhere look better, feel better without the pressure. Welcome to a new day. It is Hump Day in the Chi Town. So, what's going on, ladies? Well. We're still in 2019 and it's still early days yet. Happy Women's Month. The month of female empowerment, the month that is ours to change, to elevate, to shift, to move, to grow, to break the cycle of O.P.E., otherwise known as other people's expectations. Today, we're going to go back to our original theme, which is Goddess Awakening, the Undomesticated Woman in 2019. And I've also been dropping little tidbits about an upcoming shift for the summer called the Huntress series. And it will be delving into some other areas having to do with the undomesticated woman and breaking the cycle of conditioning and the historical constructs that have been used to manipulate and subdue women, to silence us, to subjugate us, and to keep us in certain roles and certain places in the power structures that be. Now, having said all of that, I have to bring it always back down to self-care and what does all of that mean for self-care for women. And a lot, actually. It has to do with the fact that women have historically been conditioned to put their needs aside, to sacrifice their dreams, their hopes, their self-care on the altar of O.P.E., on the altar of, unrealistic archetypes, if you will, or roles, rather. A better word would be roles of women, and has really historically, women have really been objectified in terms of our worth, in terms of our outer appearance, and a lot of, aspects of who we are. And consequently, women, have taken on this whole mantra of, this whole rather mantle of placing, using rather what they do and how much of themselves they're able to give away as currency to garner respect, a place at the table, in spite of the fact that as a human being, you have divine favor, you have divine purpose, you have a voice, and everyone, regardless of your sex, your sexual orientation, your appearance, what family you're born into, what community you come from, or what culture you come from, or what area in society that you come from, there's something fundamentally yours, and that is your personhood. And historically, women have been conditioned to give this up, to give up their personhood, to give up who they are as people, as individuals, and to find that okay somehow, to be okay with that, to the extent that women, have been made to feel guilty about their own needs, about their own desires, about their own wants by society, by, power, stakeholders in relationships and things of that nature, when the actual reality is, as a human being, every human being is entitled to pursue their dreams, their hopes, to unpack the unique gifts that they have entered into this realm to unpack for the betterment of humanity, for the betterment of themselves, and upliftment and elevation of who they are, their core beings are. And not to get lost in all of that. But you are yours, and I am mine. And so there's something fundamentally sacred about personhood where no other entity has the right to access that without your permission, or to try to take it from you or disempower you on any platform or in any role or society or construct that has been created by man, by humans. We are powerful, we are unique, we are beautiful, we all have gifts, and we are all people, and we all have a right to basic human decency, human dignity, and ownership of our own personhood. And for the longest time, women have been sidelined, have been marginalized, and punished. Those that have, in the past, historically, that have said, I'm not going to bow to the status quo. I'm going to, be active and move against that. They've been punished in one way, shape, or form. Women have been called bitches for being vocal. They've been called cold for being resolute. They have been called whores for, standing up for who they are, as sexual beings. And all of this, you say, well, that was way back then. But the truth of the matter, in 2019, we still deal with this. Women are still fighting in different parts of the world for rights to their own bodies, their own reproductive health. Can you imagine here in the U.S. in 2019? I know this is a constant rant of mine, but women are still fighting. In parts of Europe, this is an issue too, especially when you come up against the power structures of religion, particularly the Catholic Church. It's been a real battle, but we continue to fight. And that's why I say that self-care is healthcare. Self-care is activism. It is an act of revolution, because you're breaking the status quo, you're demanding your space, you're setting boundaries, and there's certain powers and individuals that don't like that. Let us be real, let us be honest, and let us put the ugly truth out there. In a patriarchal society, the worst nightmare of that kind of society, of that kind of culture, is for those who have been marginalized, women, is for them to use their voices, to no longer be silent, to buck the status quo, to break the wheel, as you would say, to break the conditioning, to awaken. That is the worst possible thing in that kind of society. And you notice in various parts of the world, Africa, the Middle East, Asia, you name it, here, Western world, here in the West, women are awakening. And there's some that might choose to go back to the status quo. You can't blame human beings for wanting consistency and wanting the least amount of cognitive dissonance. But for those of us who are awakened and are determined to continue to move and elevate to the next level, continue to move and grow and be who we were called to be, the goddess has awakened, and she's not going back to sleep. She's getting ready, actually, to become the huntress. Yes, ladies, it's not just awakening. It's not just knowing. It's being active. It's being activated to move, to shift, to grow. Yes. To take ownership of what is yours, to rise up, be empowered, and part of that is growth. And part of that is getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. Yes, ladies, this is Tonya Taria here at Freedom of the Crossroads, helping women everywhere look better, feel better without the pressure, but B-U-T, but calling you out to awaken, to break the cycle of conditioning and to become an undomesticated woman, break the cycle of domestication. Because when you are domesticated, you are silent, you are tired, constantly tired, stressed, pulled in multiple directions, striving for an unrealistic archetype of superwoman. I so hate that phrase, that word, because it calls for you to go beyond in order to meet other people's expectations, O.P.E, in order to be something to everyone. And realistically, that's just not possible to be something to everyone. You can't please everybody, and you shouldn't want to please everybody. Why do you have to please everybody? Why do you have to be everything to everyone in order to have a seat at the proverbial table, in order to give voice to things that matter, in order to speak? Why do you need to be superwoman? That is a question. And I find it interesting that some women have been so conditioned and so domesticated that they think it's a good thing to be, quote unquote, a superwoman, to be pulled in 10,000 different directions and sweating and stressing and just being tired and drained and striving to meet every point on some elusive list and then come home and still look, quote unquote, pretty. And I equate that with the Stepford Wife. When I think of that, I think of the Stepford Wife, that horror, dark comedy film called Stepford Wives. Look it up. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's just sad. Because when you strive to give and give and give until there's nothing left, you're letting yourself go, literally. You don't see your own worth. You don't even value yourself, because if you value yourself and if you recognize the power that is contained within you, the power that is yours, that is locked up in your personhood, there is no way on this earth or in the universe that you would so willingly seek to strip yourself of your essence. And that's what happens when you give from a place of emptiness, when you're sacrificing yourself on the altar of O.P.E, when you are striving to meet unrealistic expectations set by a society that is already society and culture that is already measured and sized according to certain power structures for their own benefit, not for yours, for their own. Why would you do that? That means you have no boundaries. That means you see nothing that pertains to your personhood as sacred. And that's a sad, sad state of events. And that ultimately leads to a cycle, that hamster wheel going nowhere, where you're constantly tired, where you're constantly stressed, your brain is constantly spinning, your thoughts are spinning, you're like a hamster on a hamster wheel, just spinning, doom, 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 like a hamster, just hamster going, 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 but not going anywhere, not doing anything. And then you begin to see that and realize you're beginning to get depressed, your mood suffers, things fall out of alignment. You pretty it up, but things are still falling out of alignment. You don't have any time for self. You don't have any time to even listen to your own thoughts. You don't have time to live your dream or even think about your dream. And that's a sad, sad state of affairs for those who are familiar with feminist, Nigerian feminist author Buchi Emechita, The Joys of Motherhood. That book speaks so loudly to that way of thinking. And basically, in a nutshell, it's about a woman who's trying to navigate a colonial Nigeria and motherhood and her expectations of marriage and her disillusionment with marriage and culture and the strictures that are put on women traditionally, and how that changes, as she moves from one environment to another. And it's not to give most of the book away, but it doesn't end the way she would have liked it to end. Let's put it that way, and I'll leave it there. But it basically speaks to the notion of what women have historically been conditioned to accept, and that is accepting limitations on your dreams, accepting limitations on your passions, accepting limitations on your own personal needs, your desires, be it spiritual, mental, physical, sexually, emotionally, relationally. Women have been conditioned historically to accept being shortchanged in those areas. And now we're beginning to see a shift as women awaken in this era, and beginning to start that movement and shift in consciousness as a whole, as women begin to open their eyes and say, no, I too am a human being. I too have purpose. I too have passion. I too have personhood. I am not an object. I am a person. And no longer will I allow myself to be shackled by the constructs and manipulations of culture, of others, of society. And it's no longer enough. In fact, enough is enough. And so I leave you on another cliffhanger for our next discussion. Feel free to reach out, comment, share this podcast by all means. Share your thoughts with me. You can email me as well. You can find me on Instagram at Tonyetaria Health, and that's TonyetaRiah Health at Instagram. Okay, you can find me there. You can find me tweeting away at the same Taria Health on Twitter, twittering away, or join me and come into my community on Facebook at Freedom at the Crossroads on Facebook, or follow me on my blog at freedomatthecrossroads.com, where I help women everywhere look better, feel better, without the pressure, breaking the shackles. Break that wheel, girl, break that wheel. And for all enlightened men, feel free to give your 2 cents. We won't hold it against you. So till next time, the goddess has awakened.